Good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's Boys from the Baltic Star. You join us. Look at this. It's the Traveller screen. That is very exciting, and it's something that has not happened for a little while. And it is an absolute joy, and honestly, an absolute joy to be back playing our most beloved of games this evening. Don't know why I set my microphone so low. Hope that's better for you all. Oh, it's been 3 weeks, but we're back. And we're back with love and happiness. And thank you so much to all of you VODers who might be, our dear VOD squad who might be listening. And to anyone who's here already, you are very welcome. If it's your first time, hello. It's not going to get any better. So sit back and enjoy it for what it is. We are just three blokes from the southeast of England playing a science fiction game written in the 70s, late 70s, and sort of built on as time goes on. We are playing Traveller, our beloved Traveller, and we're playing it for the next 3 Fridays. I think we've got a bit of a run coming back, so we're very pleased for that. So if you want to see what it's all about, feel free to come back over the next few Fridays and get a whiff of how things are running. We're going to run for a couple of hours probably tonight. We'll have a break in the middle, a short break. After the break, we will have the toast, which is very, very important. So feel free to hang around for that. If you want to drop in and out, that's up to you. Come and go as you want. Thank you for giving us a go at the very least. Feel free to chat or lurk. We like our chatters. We also like our lurkers. If you are chatting, chat to us. Ignore us. Chat amongst yourselves. If any of our regulars come in tonight, they have a friendly bunch, and they're very welcome too. So there's that. Click on the red sun for your Imperial credit spending. Whole range of stuff. Have a look through. I'll have a look through now. You could do things to alter the game. We love interaction in our game. You can name an NPC who does become canon. Sometimes they're canon as a combination of 3 paintings, but usually they're a character of some sort. One was even a cult leader, so that shows how powerful your choice can be. You can get someone to regale us with a tale. You can give us a boon if you want. You can make us talk for a minute on a given subject. You can make us hit someone in game, plonk, or you can make Stefan steal something, which is always a highlight of any episode. There's some pink things you can click to make some music and some sound effects happen. So feel free to that. All the way down to the bottom where there's a special one for 1 credit, on 1 credit only, and it'll always stay the same. If you agree with someone or you want to drink along with something or share a toast and you don't have the credits, I'll drink to that for a single credit. Is your way of getting involved in all that. It'll always stay as 1 credit. Oh, we've been Team Yana for Ben. Nice of me not to include her.
Of course.
She's a newsreader from a canonical newsreader from Chicago. That's where she is. There's Team Yana and Team Muffin. They're both excellent newsreaders in their own ways. That's enough time for me. That's kind of it. I'm happy tonight because the three of us are role playing 2 nights in a row together, and because tomorrow night's a new game for us, I've decided for this weekend I've opened my most special bottle of wine, gentlemen. We are a wine loving
Ooh.
I'm not a wine collector. Like Ben, I feel I'm a wine drinker, bar collector. But in my last batch of stuff I got sent, I got a 2015. My goodness, that's actually older than some of my clothes, which is incredible. So I hope it doesn't let me down. Hopefully it's a good year for Ryoka. Enjoy that. Ben, what are you drinking this evening?
I've got a Cote de Rhone this evening.
Lovely, lovely. Ewan?
I've got a bit of a mix. I've got a little bit of a mix. I'm starting off with a mojito, and then I'm moving on to the Cabernet Sauvignon
It is the time of
as
year
the
for
night
some.
progresses.
I'm
Yeah,
jealous of the mojito.
exactly.
I really am. Of course, when someone wants one, everyone wants one. So can you get your dear lady wife to bring me around one as well? Unless she's already drinking it. Okay. Let's get started and hand over to the most important person. My name is Luke. Hello, I'm in the bottom right-hand corner. It is very warm here in Kent, hence the Basketball vest, which is my summer vibe. I play 2 characters in this game. I play Kara and I play Soraya. Kara is an artistic rouser. She's sort of our trader and our hacker. She's good at talking, good at punching, bad at social critics. I also play Soraya, who's quite good at drinking, quite good at fixing things with gaffer tape, and not very good around poshing people. Directly above me, look, there he is, beautifully adorned in all his finery. It is my brother from another mother, his Blitz Master General, the housewife's favourite, the man who pones noobs on the internet with his headphones. It is our lovely Giikur. How are you?
I'm good, thanks, Luke. I'm good. There's a lot of restraint to let the headphone comment go based on, previous headphone experiences that you've had. But I'm going to leave it.
I'm so sad. Yeah, thank you for leaving it.
No,
I'm still in a bit.
okay.
I'm still in a bit of mourning, but I've got them back now, so it's all okay. Who do you play in this wonderful tale of ours?
I play Agnar Hansen. Is one of my characters in this beloved tale of ours. He's a former military general, army general, with the 17th Rift Runners. He's also he's probably more floofy than I am, Varga wolf humanoid character. He tends to be go-to in slightly higher up social situations, the ones where you can throw around a "Don't you know who I am?" And he should be our go-to in medical situations. It's not always the case. When he's not, sometimes bad things happen to beloved NPCs. I also play Stefan Miller, who is our slightly more sneaky, slightly more paranoid, streetwise space rogue, who has used those skills to find himself. He's not trapped, hiding out. He's been hiding out for a long time on the side of a cliff.
I'd say he's been hiding out for maybe 18 hours by this point. It feels.
It feels more like 3 months, if I'm honest.
It's just that's the pace we play
At this point. But no. He's quite happy actually. He's well out of the way of the long arm of the law on Giikur. Or at least he thinks so.
Yes. Long may it remain. Speaking of the long arm of the law, the man that controls the law and many other people in this game, pretty much everyone else except the 4 people, the entire universe except the 4 people that we control. He is, of course, the smartest man in any room. He lives his entire life in the Twin Peaks dream sequence, and he sneaks out at night into the bedrooms of women up and down the country and leaves his chocolatey deposits in their drawers.
And all because the lady
I need a not a predator T-shirt, don't I?
Everyone across the world remembers the very niche Mortal Portray adverts from the UK in the 80s.
Yes, it couldn't possibly be misinterpreted by anybody from anywhere.
Exactly. I'm just getting warmed up with the double entendres, to be honest.
Well, yes, we're going to need them tomorrow.
He is our lovely referee, Ben. Good evening, Ben. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Very well. Yes, very much looking forward to playing some Traveller again. It's been a little while.
It certainly has. We've missed you. We've missed the game, Ben.
I'm glad, because it's always nice to leave people wanting a little bit more, isn't it?
It is, and we certainly want that. So, with all these people wanting more, and with us wanting more, please put us out of our miseries.
Just before I do, something you said about me playing all of the characters. Have you ever seen that photograph that Michael Collins took during his EVA from one of the Apollo missions?
Dunno.
So you've got the Apollo capsule, and behind it the entire Earth framed. And someone pointed out that the most remarkable thing about this is that the photograph contains every single human apart from Michael Collins.
Oh, I like it.
Anyway, beside the point. So, welcome back to the beautiful, placid, peaceful world of Giikur. An ocean world with a belt of small islands around the equator. It's got a slightly too rich atmosphere, so the only substantial settlement is the city of Sellville, set atop a series of mountains that have had their tops removed to create artificial plateaus. Our heroes have been here before, of course, and we're looking forward to the delights of the fabulous Earth Park and the joy of the Cascade nightclub. Ah yes, the Cascade, a wonderful combination of classy bar, music venue, tourist attraction and community hub, a place to meet and drink in comfort and safety. Of course, our travellers heard that description and immediately thought, hold my beer. For quite a long time, the party has been worried about the threat posed by a shadowy figure called Anton Fess. He tried to steal one of their shipmates for undisclosed purposes, tried to interfere with their analysis of ancient carvings, and, in general, acted really creepy. We met him on Giikur once more, and this time Stefan was unwilling to put up with his threats and generally menacing behaviour, so, being a rational and decent person, stabbed him in the neck. As you do. Choosing to do this in a crowded nightclub was obviously not the wisest possible choice, but Stefan has a slightly darker character than most of the party, and occasionally it's good to be reminded that he's got some anger beneath the surface. Stefan went on the run, hiding out in a cheap hotel for a while before arranging an extraction from the surface by a mercenary called Jural Cags. That pickup is expected at midnight. Soraya was implicated in the stabbing, not that there was any real evidence, and was interrogated by the local police in the person of tenacious investigator Brina Locke. She's now been released and is now investigating a team in the upcoming Pelago race. Ah yes, the Pelago race. It's a circumnavigation of the entire planet using fast racing craft that are technically boats. Technically. Anton Fess was working with the VCI team in their efforts to win, a team that some people darkly suspect of cheating, or at least unethical conduct. He's now checked himself out of hospital, and the travellers wanted to know if he's back with the VCI team. Watching the race is only one part of the plan, of course. Soraya has taken Rose with her, and the two have managed to get invited into the paddock of the VCI team, where they were carefully probing for information. Meanwhile, Agnar has joined Olivia Sharp in a luxurious dirigible to watch the race preliminaries. Kara has taken a group of Baltic Star crew on a mission to qualify for the race, trying to get into the ISB team. There's an ulterior motive for this. Of course, you knew this. All our heroes' motives are ulterior. On the race route is the embargoed island of Herrenhau, just to the west of Sellville. It's been suggested that there's reason to be curious about this secret place. Possibly the race might provide an opportunity to visit Herrenhau and explore its secrets. It was during her efforts to gather intelligence on the VCI team that Kara spotted Anton Fess lurking around the team areas. She followed him to a shady-looking meeting at an empty warehouse. After the meeting, she discovered that he'd sent someone to kill her, having spotted her spying, but she evaded the man. When he tried to follow her, Zoe shot him dead from range, so at least he's not a worry anymore. The rest of those people who met Fess jumped into a small boat and powered out into the ocean, where they were met by a submarine. This meeting was observed by Agnar from the vantage point of his dirigible. And back at the ISB team, the captain, Cassie, spotted something a little suspicious west of them, on the sensors used to monitor the ocean for the race. Meanwhile, at VCI, Soraya learnt from their captain, Helic Canyon, that he doesn't expect Anton Fess to be aboard the craft. We're in the breathless countdown to the last preliminary race, and if all goes well, it should finish almost exactly at midnight. And that is where we resume the story. Okay, so who are we starting?
I feel much happier. Sorry, Ben. I was just going to say I feel much happier about your description of the events in the nightclub that time. It felt a lot more, even and balanced, and nobody was guilty of anything, and nobody was the victim.
I think I was being very fair. Very fair.
Yeah. Very good question, though.
Yeah. So, who are we starting with? Because at the moment, Soraya and Rose are sort of heading back to the hotel, aren't they?
Yeah. I think, theoretically, unless Agnar wants to do anything in particular, we naturally move to Kara with the last practice race. I think is probably next up.
Okay.
Unless, do you want Agnar to do anything? Before we...
No, I don't think so. I think he had filled in sharp on most of the activities that had gone on last time, and was relaxing with a bit of schmoozing. Is that the plan? Or heading?
Yeah, I think she was aware of most stuff. Yeah. So this is what happens when you don't play for 3 weeks. You're like, what? Well, yeah, I think so.
Now, remind me of something quickly, because Kara did film a short video asking questions about the VCI allegations, the possibility they might be cheating, and she uploaded it, didn't she?
Yeah, she pushed it out there. She's trying to get it.
Yes.
She's trying to get it trending, I believe the word is.
Indeed. So, while we did a roll for the success in making the video, which was absolutely fine, I would like an electronics computers check. Actually, I think electronics communications check.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable.
For her ability to, with intellect, to actually get it really trending.
Excellent. I did that on the phone because I can have an extra one for comms, but that's on the computer where she did it on her device. So I'll stick to just basic. Should be okay because I've started very well. It's like I haven't used these pink dice for like 3 weeks. 14.
14. Excellent. It's going well in terms of its spreading. A lot of people are commenting. A lot of people are passing the video around, and the rest of the channel and associated comments are also picking up a lot of views as a consequence. People are watching other things she's done. Something which becomes notably spotted by Agnar, in fact, because someone walks up to him on board the dirigible and taps him on the shoulder and says, "Destroyer of worlds," and then wanders off.
He turns to Sharp. I feel as though I should explain. And
we go on.
We can cut away if you wish at that point. But he will explain.
No. We don't need to cut away. Why would we do that?
In fact, he'll scroll through Car as well. You see, there was this long running joke that involved the sash, and there was a fruit platter, and it was my birthday, but it wasn't actually my birthday, funnily enough. And he'll find whatever social media was on there regarding the Destroyer of Worlds sash, and pass it over to Sharp. See, you know what Kara's like.
Yes, we have met. She has a fine sense of humour, which I'm sure she'll take out for an exercise one day.
Yes, exactly. And I have never, in fact, actually destroyed any worlds.
Not even one?
Well, no, not without you having higher army clearance, I'm afraid.
Oh, okay, of course. Yes.
This is true.
Yes. It's a good sash, though.
Thanks. In fact, he's got it in his pocket. He'll pull it out. Would you like to try it on?
No, thank you. I feel very strongly it would make it too easy for people to identify you if either of us were wearing the sash.
Ooh.
After all, that is the game, right?
Remove it from halfway around his head and pop it back in his pocket. And look around and make sure. Yes, very much so.
Excellent.
I like how he's clearly got it with him all the time.
Yes.
Ready to go, just in case.
Well, it's only a sash. It doesn't take up that much space.
That's true.
Yeah. So, on to Kara.
So Kara's had her chance to calm down from her terrible moment earlier. And she's sort of been chat with Cassie about the scanner readings and all that sort of stuff. And she's just been spending the last hour or so, after sort of hacking in, she helped Rose and Soraya get in, and she sort of spent the last hour trying to get back in the zone and actually focus on the race, because really, at the end of the day, although she's very much sort of in the good books of Cassie and the team at the minute, we don't want to mess it up at the last hurdle, as it were. We need to be on that. We need to be on that ship. We need to be on that race. And so she's sort of mentally going through the stuff, trying to put herself back into the vibe, and just sort of killing that time until it's time to get back on board that beautiful sleep vessel with its complicated rear end.
Complicated rear end indeed.
Complicated rear end.
Yeah.
I thought you said sleep vessel for a minute. I was like, oh, that
The
sounds pretty
sleep
nice.
vessel, yeah.
Both in real life and in character.
Good place for a nap, yes.
Hurtling along at 800 miles an hour, whatever it is.
Okay. So Cassie is certainly looking a little bit tense. She's aware that this is the last run out, and after this she's got to make the final decision as to who's going to be in the crew. She is studying the reports from the sensors around the island to try and pick her favoured path, and she is deep in concentration about it. All thoughts of anything else going on nearby is far from her mind. She just wants to concentrate on every puff of wind, every ocean current. She cares about all of that right now in a way that she wouldn't have done just an hour earlier. She doesn't want to make a single mistake that could cost the team a position. And she, therefore, is not particularly good company right now. Meanwhile, Kat looks almost disturbingly cheerful about the opportunity of having another go with a very fast craft that she can have a steer of. But the other two members of your party are looking varying degrees of nervous.
Oh yes, the old crew.
Sammy and Freya.
Sammy and Freya. I'll wander over to Sammy first of all. Hey Sam, so how's it going?
Okay, I think. Okay.
You feeling confident for this evening? You look a little bit off colour. You haven't eaten something dodgy, I hope.
I haven't really eaten anything at all. Not actually sure I can swallow at the moment.
You really, I would preach to you about making sure we don't do this on an empty stomach. But to be honest, probably for the best being out at sea. You don't want to bring anything up mid-race, so you're probably taking the best strategy. As long as you get some food down you afterwards.
Yeah, I'm sure afterwards I'll feel a lot less stressed.
Yeah, because then after this, of course, all we've got is the massive long, sort of lowers the voice a bit, the massive long one involving jumping off the back of a boat and then swimming around and looking for mysterious carvings and trying to get rescued without the local forces catching us and escaping from the planet and heading off on adventures. There's nothing to worry about after. This is the hard bit. This today.
Yeah. I know what you mean. You're not really helping as much as you think you are.
I don't intend to help. I just intend to kill a few minutes of your time so that you're not caught in yourself. We need you to be on game, Sammy. We need you to imagine that everyone on that ship is Stefan, and you're protecting us from horrors, and we're cowering behind your strong shoulders as you protect us all the way around.
Okay. It's just things happen really fast on those boats, you know? Really fast.
Yeah, and you've got fast reactions. You're good. You're the reflex queen.
Sure. I don't think I'm known as that.
That's your new name. I'm going to make you a little banner, the Reflex Queen.
Excellent.
I'll tell you what I'll
It's
do.
just, I'm a geologist, and one of the things that geologists know is exactly how hard things are.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really matter how hard things are when you hit them at 1,000 kilometers an hour.
Yeah, but we're not doing the steering, are we, Samster? Not in that regard. We're just doing the ups and downs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure you're right. I'm sure it'll be fine.
Yeah, it'll be fine. Trust me. I'll tell you what I'll do. This'll raise your morale. And Kara pulls out her device, and she shows Sam as she messages over. Hey Agnar, in that can you set up your electronic poster thing, even if it's just on the dirigible, to read the Reflex Queen is the best person in controlling ships and is very brave and cool, and we like her. She's the best. Thumbs up emoji. Shows it to Sammy with sort of a wink, and then presses send. Let's see. Do you think he's gonna be enough of a game player to do it, Sammy? I like to think he will be.
I'm glad I'm not going to be able to see that, frankly.
I think you'll have to be pretty close to be able to read it. It'll be quite small with all those letters.
You get a reply from Agnar saying that's a lot of characters, but I get the gist. Who are you talking about?
There's only one person it could be. It's Sammy. It's our lovely Sammy, the conqueror of zombie goo, the slayer of snakes. Death cannot hold her. Venom cannot defeat her. Stefan hides behind her. The waves cannot corrupt her indefatigability. Oh, add that to your message as well.
And he starts programming away on the holographic projector. Ben, can he add pictures? Or some kind of pixelated equivalent of a photo of something that he's got on his device?
There's no inherent reason why not.
He'll aim for a horribly pixelated picture of Sammy's face at the very start, and then Lee start off with the Reflex Queen, Slayer of snakes. Something about waves is number one. Get as close to a window as he can in order to try and. He's already tried this, I think, on the train around on the surface, but he'll try and aim it through the glass, or at least up against the glass on the side.
Okay. Yeah. Trying to do the best he can.
Actually, he'll call over a member of the waiting staff and says, "Excuse me, is there a balcony or a roof, not a rooftop, but you know the equivalent of a rooftop garden?"
I'm sorry, sir. No, it's an entirely enclosed vessel.
You should look into one of those. That could be quite the feature piece on such a vessel. But thank you.
You're welcome. I'm fairly certain you're the only person who's ever wanted one up here.
Well, even more even more the reason people will be surprised and overcome with joy.
Overcome, I can certainly see, yes.
I mean, not too overcome, otherwise, you don't want to become too overcome on a rooftop bar on a dirigible that's flying, looks down at the window pretty high.
Pretty high it certainly is, yes.
Hmm.
Yes. Anyway, I will pass the suggestion along.
Thank you, Carl. One last thing. At just before midnight, a couple of minutes before midnight, could you bring my friend and I just a glass of your something special from the whiskey line, your finest?
Of course. Just before midnight, you say?
Yes, please.
All right. Yes. I will make a note.
Thank you. And he'll go and rejoin Sharp.
Sharp is still watching the preparations of the race, zooming in occasionally on the crowds milling around the various hangars, and watching with interest the fact that the crowds, because they tend to be wearing team colours, behind each team there's a sort of vague hint of the team's colours in the crowd when you see them en masse, which he finds quite appealing, that there's a sort of little rainbow shade going across the bay. But back to Kara.
Having done excellent work at soothing Sammy, Kara moves on to Freya. Hey Freya, how's it going?
Good, I think. Good.
You're doing wonderfully. I looked at the numbers when you're in charge. Strong numbers. I think you two are like the best of the last race. I think you were right at the top. Top work. Very proud of you.
Thank you. It's a bit nerve-wracking going in this one as well, but I think we're going to be fine. Getting better at it each time.
You really are. Really are. Just believe in yourself, because I believe in you. I really do. And you've been such a strong addition to the team. I was speaking with the others earlier this week, just as we were going into the cascade, in fact, before it all kicked off. And they said you really bring a certain je ne sais quoi to the posse. And we're all very glad that you agreed to join us after the terrible things that happened.
Well, thank you. It's I think there's a good chance I'll find some interesting stuff as we set out ahead of the deep night voyage, though obviously that is dependent on surviving the next few hours and tomorrow, and the jumping off the craft and the really high speed impact with the water, and then the secret island we're not allowed to visit, where they might kill us for visiting, and then whatever's hidden on the secret island, and the potential danger of someone else who also wants what's on the secret island, who might be armed people.
Don't worry about it. Look, you terrible with guns. Me, not great with guns. Sammy Crest, the best of the best. She may not look like it, but she is the reflex queen. Look, if you look out the window, there's even a sign up there that says so.
I mean, technically you're right, there is, but it's not visible from here.
The glare on the windows is pretty bad.
It's just dispersed. It's a horrible mess. Anyway, come on, chin up. Let's Let's do this. Let's do this for the good of the team. We love the team. Let's do it for the good of our team. We love our team. Let's do it for the carvings. Let's do it for the future of the children. Let's do it most of all for the subscribers.
Sure. Let's do it. Yeah. I'm up for this.
Excellent. Right, let's get our stuff together. It looks like we're getting close to the time. We better all gather so that Cassie take stress off Cassie's mind if we're all ready to go. Let's do it.
All good. And indeed, as you say that, you can see Cassie is pulling her last group together. Cat has been sitting on a sort of box, a storage box off to the side, just scrolling randomly through social media and looking at pictures and looking completely without a care in the world. And when Cassie, who's looking very focused and very tense, calls everyone together, Cat hops down lightly and trots across, almost skipping with how relaxed she is. She is very comfortable with this responsibility. Everybody else looks tense, but she doesn't. She just looks completely calm and cheerful. And Cassie calls everyone together, and she says, "So, well, this is it, the last of the preliminaries, and if everything goes well, what I have with me here is probably going to be our team for tomorrow. But that's only if it goes well. There are still places that I can swap out. I want to wish everybody good luck. And just 3 basic rules for this race. We're going to take some more risks this time. We're going to run closer to the rocks. We're going to run harder, faster. It's going to be a bit tougher than anything you've done before. But I want you to know I have confidence in all of you. And I think we have a chance of winning this one. I hope. Not only that, this is going to be a special evening. If you don't make the final cut, it's not because you weren't great. It's just because someone else fitted the bill better. But if you don't make the final cut, this will be your last go in this craft. So do try to enjoy it. If you do make the final cut, straight after the race, we're going to have a quick bite to eat, sip of a drink, and then I need you all to get some good sleep. Okay?
All right, Skip.
Let's get aboard and see what we can do with this thing. And she leads everyone off and literally stands there by the hatch, tapping everyone on the shoulder, on the back as they hop down inside and find their seats. It is just a few moments before the hatch is closed. Cassie takes her seat and, guided a little bit by those small tug craft, she steers out into the open bay. It turns out you've been fairly swift getting going this time. As you pull out, you're probably the first out of the slipways, and you can see the others coming out behind you on both sides. It's a tense moment, but it's a comfortable one. The weather seems calm. The night is fairly still and quiet, and you've got the gentle swell underneath the craft of waves passing through, but it is very, very gentle. It's as comfortable a journey out as you've ever had in this craft. The tugs, not only for your craft but for the others, are forming almost an honor guard to get the craft out to the starting line, and at the critical moment they all pull away behind to give space, and you see one after another all of the craft line up for the start. You know exactly when the lights will go green, but not technically to the second, because the lights will hit their 0 countdown exactly at 11:30. But there's then a sort of randomized gap before you're allowed to actually go, in order to stop people from trying to judge how they can jump the start. So you've got exactly 30 minutes if you want to pass the finish line by midnight from when you set off. And in the first of the full lap races around the island, the best time was just under 31 minutes. It's doable, but it's going to be a push. You watch the clock tick down, and at exactly the right moment, the clock hits 0. There's a sort of breathless pause, and this time it's fast that the lights go green. The engines gun, and you can hear the noise of them winding up to full power. But you're not even sure whether it's your engines or the ones from the craft nearby, as each of them throw out an enormous spray of water, followed by this kick in the back as the craft accelerates. And it seems to go faster than it ever has before. You know, all of the craft seem to be accelerating as if this is their last ever race. This really is pushing the limit. Turning hard right around that first buoy and bringing the craft up to speed, it levels out, and as you glance across, you realize that the path for almost the entire field is a little bit tighter than it was before. The craft are closer together, almost sort of wingtip to wingtip. The shore is closer to the right-hand side of the craft. The turn was tighter. Everybody's pushing this considerably harder. This is going to be a real test for the capabilities. So, Kara, you are going to be responsible on this last run for the depth control of the keel.
Okie dokie.
All right. Now, this is not a common type of craft, so there are a number of different things you can use. But broadly speaking, they are all going to be about dexterity, and you can use your athletics dex unless you've got a skill you'd like to put in to replace it.
It's computer based, isn't it?
There is a fly-by-wire system, but it's not a computer you've really got control over.
Let's have a look. Let's have a look. I'm sure I was clever with what I used last time. I don't think I care. I can't persuade it to do better.
This is not a moment for philosophy, no.
Corrals the thing. Come on, buddy. Come on, do it.
You'd need a drink
Yeah,
first, and I wouldn't
Yeah,
advise it.
you need to be drinking for that.
The only other thing I could possibly suggest, along with the dexterity thing, and the deafness of touch, would be my art performance skill.
You know what? There is an element of that, and there is an element of skill with computers. So if you've got electronic computers and you've got a performing arts one,
Yes.
what are the numbers on those?
Both are at 1.
Okay. I can't give you a 1, but I can give you a 0 for those.
Okay. Well, I'd have had a 0 for my dex anyway, to be honest.
Would you? Okay. So in that case, it's athletics. Sorry, it's your dexterity bonus plus 0.
Yeah. Okey-dokey. Warm up, baby, warm up. It's a 9.
A 9. Okay. In this phase, you are one of the responsible crew, but none of the other members of the Baltic team are controlling this leg of the journey. this is a longer journey. They're not doing things in pairs quite the same way for this outleg, and so you're opposite a member who is not one of your team,
Oh.
and
Oh.
both of you seem to be doing what would reasonably be described as an okay job. Nothing spectacular, but everything's staying within the normal limits. Not necessarily the quickest possible outcome, but nothing catastrophic either. After you've done your little stint and you've handed over to the next pair, you glance across and you've perhaps lost just a little bit of ground, but not a terrible amount. And certainly VCI, who obviously you're keeping an eye on, haven't pulled much ahead. And we come to the second part of the outlap. This one, Sammy, will be handling the wings part of the flight. All right. Sweat is pouring down her as she tries to keep them level. And watching the screens, you can see that she's also doing, I think it's fair to say, okay. Not brilliantly, but all right. And she's focusing quite hard. But the person she's alongside with, who's managing the keel, is doing an excellent job.
Excellent.
Which makes, if you like, makes Sammy's job's easier, because the actual height above the water is so flawlessly managed. So, if anything, the craft is actually just starting to catch a couple of those who'd sneaked ahead, not by a huge amount again. It's still very much all together as a pack. A couple of the craft you can see are choosing slightly different routes, one pulling just a little bit closer to the shore, a couple pulling just a little bit further away as you go around the first bend. And it's at about that point that Cat takes over the wings level part of the operation. Okay. Despite her overwhelming confidence, she's not as slick as you've seen her in the past. Perhaps the pressure's getting to her a little bit. It isn't terrible, you understand. It's fine. But in the past, she has had some really slick runs in this craft. This time, it's a bit more solid, but not exceptional. Mm-hmm. You'd probably think she's so far been the best of the Baltic Star people, but not by a huge margin. Whereas normally she'd have been expected to just slam it perfectly down every time. Which leaves just Freya to take on the back end of this.
Oh, Freya.
Right. Freya seems to come into her own a little bit under pressure. She is managing the keel depth, and she does a reasonable job, comparable to the one that Kara did, actually, about the same kind of level of competence. She gets caught out a little bit more as going around one of the curves. There's a bit more swell and tide to deal with. So she gets a little snappy comment from Cassie about watching the depth. But she's on top of it. Nothing spectacular, but it's okay. But as you peer out of the windows, you can see that because nobody's really done an exceptional job, you are once again just beginning to slip back a little bit from the pack. Though it's hard to tell with those who aren't on quite the same course as you, whether they are pulling ahead or falling behind. But the ones that are close to you, you're mid pack at this point. Come around to about the halfway point. Now I need you to roll for me. Give me a survival check, please, with intellect.
Right, thanks.
As the ship explodes, can you please roll me a survival check?
Well, I've survived. I'd rather have this roll for any return leg rolling, so I feel it wasn't quite so crucial. But it's a 14.
Oh,
A 14.
Yes.
Um,
Really could have done with that another time.
as you look sort of left and right to catch the look of the other craft, out from the left-hand side, you catch a very suspicious-looking little white flash in the distance, which, despite the speed you're going, you could swear is another craft out there, not very far to the west of the race. In fact, it may be close enough that the group of craft with you are passing to the right of it, to the east of it. But those couple who pulled off further out and took a wider line, they're going to pass to the west of it. So it's right in the middle of the pack. And even before you can sort of react or say anything or think anything, you're past it and it's gone. But knowing what you know about things being out there in the water, it certainly makes you feel a bit suspicious about what might be happening out there. So, the return leg. This time, everybody's going to have to take both the height and the wing controls at the same time. In the race, you're going to have to be responsible for manning the entire control of the craft, including even steering it sometimes. But for this one, it's just going to be keeping the wings level and the keel at the right height. So I need you to roll for me a dex check, please.
Do I get anything as I get, because it's both? Is it just the same as before?
I think it's probably going to be the same. So whatever your dex bonus is,
Yep.
plus 2d6.
0, but a 10.
ooh.
Well tonight, suspiciously well.
Ooh.
That was a 13.
No, 0 plus 10. 10.
Oh, okay, 10.
Oh, I wish a 13.
13 would have been impressive.
Would you believe me if I said 13?
I would have, because obviously you could have a +1 dex bonus. I can't remember what Kara's is.
Nothing, unfortunately. 0.
0. Okay. So it's obviously a lot more pressure. Suddenly, the only thing that Cassie's doing at the front is pointing the nose in the right direction. Everything else about keeping the craft level, about keeping it the right height above the water is all on you. But you seem to do pretty well. The craft feels light in your hands. You don't have any difficulty with the wind and the waves, and you seem to look around and actually, as you come off the controls and hand over to the next person, it feels like, if anything, your position has improved just a little bit compared to the rest of the pack. And as you relinquish the controls, you actually hear Cassie yell out, "Good job!"
Yeah. Oh, I've never felt so proud.
And the person who follows you is doing a good job as well. Adding to the sort of that momentum that is now building up. There are 2 or 3 teams that now seem to be pulling out a little ahead from the others. Maglow's in that front group. You're in that front group. Unsurprisingly, VCI seems to be in that front group. But those teams do seem to be just inching out just a little bit ahead. And next up is Sammy. Sammy does okay. A little bit of momentum lost, perhaps. Falling back just a little bit behind the leading 2 now. But nothing catastrophic. Nothing terrible. And she hands over to Kat. Kat has obviously decided that the time for larking about is done.
Oh. I was worried there.
Yeah.
Oh.
Cat. Oh, cat.
It's as if she's stopped grabbing hold of the controls, and she's basically holding them in her fingertips. And with her at the controls, it feels as if the whole craft just dances across the top of the water, as if nothing can interfere with it at all. It's suddenly incredibly responsive and light, and it just feels fast. And as you look out of the sides, it looks fast as well. The craft is getting back level with the other two, and maybe even pulling out in front. And as Kat comes to the end, she yells encouragement to Freya, who's going to take over from her. You've got this. And she's not entirely wrong. As soon as the controls are handed over, the craft feels completely different. You know, it's gone from dancing through the air and feeling completely under control to a bit more buffeted, a bit slower. Cassie yells out, you know, "Careful, careful!" But Freya has enough control that you lose a bit of pace, but not too much else. And as it passes on to the next person and the next one, you slip just a little bit further back and a little bit further back from that. And coming around the final turn, from where Cassie's sitting, the finish line is actually going to be visible at this point. She's not paying any attention to the clock, but she's one of very few people aboard who aren't. She yells out to Kat, "Take it to the finish." And Kat, you know, puts her fingertips back on the controls. Perhaps the pressure's building up again. It's not quite as slick as it was last time, but it still feels fast. And Kat is closing in, and it's now a race between whether or not she can catch the leading two or whether the finish line will come first. But you're staring through, looking for those fireworks that will go off exactly at midnight. And as you're on that last leg, and Agnar is being handed a tray with a bottle of whiskey and a couple of glasses, and Stefan is hearing the sound of an approaching engine as he hangs on the side of a cliff. You're waiting and waiting for those fireworks to happen in front of you at any second to indicate that 30-minute time has been passed. And you watch almost in disbelief as the VCI team crosses the line first with no fireworks. The Maglo team crosses immediately behind them, just a fraction of a second, and still no fireworks. And maybe a second back, you cross the line, and it's just after that the fireworks go off. Cassie is yelling in joy and screaming incoherently. What you can get from it is that there have never been 3 teams beat the fireworks in the last preliminary race. It's never happened that 3 teams have made it that quick. So she is thrilled. The Cat is reducing the speed and the engines because Cassie has decided to let go of the controls and is just cheerfully screaming and punching the air. And so Cat is in fact bringing the craft down to a slow coast in as it drops down onto its hydrofoil planes, and then slowly that too sinks through the water and the craft drops. You can see the VCI team taking up the lead to sail back into port at the front, and Maglo behind them, and Cat tucks in third position for the sort of procession back in towards the bay. And you can get that experience. You can look out of the portholes and see the fireworks up over the finish line, which are incredibly impressive. They are bold and bright and colourful, and there are an awful lot of them being fired up by the little boats that mark where the finish line is. Just rows and rows and rows of fireworks being fired into the air. You finished third. And Cassie is very happy with that.
Oh, she should be. As sort of there's happiness inside the craft, Kara will pull out the device to start. Careful with her angles, although the main problems with the angles are in the back of the ship, of course, and the underneath.
The complicated rear end, yes.
The complicated rear end, yeah. She pulls out the device with sort of starts the live stream, the recording, as there's excitement going on, and she's pointing in the camera and grabbing people sort of around the head and pulling them in. And she's like, "This is what it's about. Not that. Look at this. The teamwork here. Everyone nailed it. It's brilliant. This is the team to get behind. Forget they were expected. This is us. Third. We're going to do better. Get on board. Come on. Tag us. Retweet us. Do whatever you need to. This is the team. We're going for it. Come on. Come on, the team."
Olivia Sharp, sitting up with Agnar, has actually leapt out of her chair at the excitement of the moment. And immediately, she's obviously a bit of a fan and an aficionado of the racing. She started talking about the timings and the speeds and the gaps between the various teams. She is calling out the other teams as they cross the line. Impact is in fourth, and it's DSS bringing up the rear. It's a very exciting moment for her. She's absolutely gripped just by this preliminary, even before the real race starts. And we cut briefly to Stefan. Now, Stefan, you are not on the side of the island that faces the fireworks display, but those fireworks go up easily far enough to illuminate the top of the peak from where you are, so you can see the glow over the top. And as the fireworks are going off, the noise does seem to slightly make it harder to hear the arrival of the craft. But you see the shadow of it. Its lights are out. It is not flying with any navigation lights or anything like it. And it seems to come to a hover just a few feet above you. And the door slides open inside while its autopilot seems to hold it still. It's that artificially still thing which autopilots can do and human pilots can't. Like it's been frozen in amber in position. And you hear a voice call down, "Are you Stefan?"
Who's asking?
Well, if you don't want a lift.
Clinging onto the rock face. No, I would very much appreciate a lift. Thank you.
All right. It's incredibly low-tech solution to getting you off the rock face. He literally puts down a hand and grabs hold of yours and pulls you up into the craft. It is a battered, old, ropey-looking bit of kit, like it's seen better days. And as you haul yourself in, you can see what looks a little bit suspiciously like small arms fire impacts on the outside. But it seems to be holding station reasonably well. And as he pulls you in, he pushes the door shut. And he says, "Find a seat." And there are a few seats. They don't match. They're mismatched seating. But there are a few seats in the back. And he climbs back into the pilot's seat right at the front. And he says, "You strapped in?"
Wait. First off, please tell me you've got a toilet on this thing. I've been on that rock face for some time.
Have you seen the thing? Whole thing's a toilet.
And Stefan sits down. I'm strapped in. Make it smooth.
Don't do
No
smooth.
bumps, please. Oh.
And he turns off the autopilot, and immediately the craft begins to drop dramatically, like a lift car that has had the cable cut, and it falls pretty much in free fall. And as it plunges down, he slowly starts to feed the power back in and drive it away to the south, peering out through the scratched and grubby viewports on the side. You can see that you're really not that much higher above the water than the Pelago craft are. This is flying very, very low and southwest away from the island. And he says to you after a little way, we've got to get a bit further out because we don't want to be anywhere near the air traffic control sensors, you know.
Yeah, sure. The cannons, right?
Kind of. The big thing for us is, you see, as far as their radar sensors are concerned, this is a fishing boat, and it reports as a fishing boat whenever they hit it with a sensor ping, and they'll believe that as long as we're really low. But if we're like 1,000 meters, they're going to get really suspicious about us being a fishing boat.
Well, yeah, I mean, you could say that, though. The ship I'm trying to get to has got loads of fish on board, so you know.
You tell the most amazing stories, right? So we're going to have a little bit of time while we get over the curvature of the planet. It's not a very big planet, but even a not very big planet has a bit of distance because they're sat up on a mountaintop, so they can see quite a long way. Feel free to tell me about your life or not. Most people don't want to. They find me, what's the term? A dick. So that's just the way I am. At some point, we're going to have to get you into orbit. That's very easy. Once we're over the horizon, we can get a bit higher, go a bit faster, because at this altitude, if a fish jumps out of the water at the wrong moment, we're going to be brushing our teeth with it. So what we need to do is get a bit more height before we get the speed up. Once again, fishing boats doing 2 or 3 times the speed of sound, bit suspicious. But once we're over the horizon, we can do that. So settle in for a bit.
You know how horizons work, don't you?
Sure.
Okay, good. Just because they're always there, you're never really over them, are you?
I mean, I take your point. I'd like to offer you your selection of music from the radio, but we don't have one.
Yeah.
There's no food, no catering, and we did have some cabin crew, but I shot them. So I guess we'll just sit. If you have any questions, I'm happy to ignore them.
And Stefan begins writing on his device, part of his memoirs. And he was right. I did tell the most exciting story. ... Next chapter.
And with that, we will take a short break.
Perfect.
Thanks, Ben.
We're going to be back in 5 minutes, everyone, to pick up Stefan's magical journey with his best friends that he's just made in his happy times. So go to the loot, grab a drink, grab a snack, whatever you need to do, but please come back, and we'll come back to our half-time toast. We shall see you all shortly. Thank you so much, and see you in a minute.
Cheers.
Hello everyone, we're back. Let me just find something very important. I need to find a little picture because I need to put it up because we've reached the most important part of the evening. Ben?
So, before we resume, it falls to me to lead us in a toast. It is, in short, in memory of a fallen comrade to the crew of the Baltic Star. He told some wonderful stories of his time as a travelling steward, and one, I recall, related to the time he worked backstage at an awards ceremony. On that occasion, the organiser was a corporation, and not one with a good reputation. The event was self-serving, handing out awards to members of the company who'd achieved the best results in the year. A dull evening indeed, but one that our hero, Greyhill Bast, felt could be enlivened. You see, the director had made it clear that alcohol should flow freely, and Greyhill took him at his word. He carefully constructed a series of special cocktails filled with alcohol but designed to taste very light and mild. He had a private scorecard in his mind for how well he arranged the evening. If he could cause an argument to break out, that was worth a point. Someone falls off the stage, 3 points. A physical fight breaks out, that's 6 points. At the end of the evening, he had awarded himself 197 points. To get that many, he had to cause the police to be called, the party make the evening news, the CEO arrested, and the company investigated by the government. For some reason, he didn't get invited to serve at many more corporate parties. It was such things that made him ideal for the Baltic Star, of course. So please, raise your glasses to the legend that is the late, great Greyhill Bast.
To Greyhill Bast.
To Greyhill.
What a man. What a man.
What a guy.
So, as we return, Stefan is scooting low over the water in a rather beaten up old shuttlecraft. Kara is slowly returning back to shore in the company of her fairly successful crew. But it's first to Agnar that we turn. He with his nice bottle of whiskey and a couple of glasses.
He'll have been pouring a couple out as Sharp has been quite ecstatically calling out the finishers of the race. Once she's calmed down a little bit, he'll approach and offer her out a glass and say, "I'm sorry, I took the liberty. I hope you won't mind joining me in an old tradition."
Don't mind at all. What's the old tradition?
Well, it's slightly embarrassing, but once, you might say annually, I like to, on this particular morning or just after midnight, I like to raise a glass in honor of becoming another year older.
Yeah.
It's your birthday.
Shh, don't say it out loud.
It is his birthday.
It is indeed. I try and keep it low key. I like to take this opportunity to think of people that I've lost, if I'm honest, throughout my military career and beyond. Names jump to mind, but to appreciate the year that I've had on this planet, which they sadly did not.
Well, thank you. It's nice to be included in your birthday drink. Many happy returns.
It's not thank you. It's not always optional. Sometimes people are around and they have no choice, but it is appreciated.
At this moment, Agnar will get a beeping on his device if he wishes to acknowledge it.
Fish around in his pocket and get his phone out. Or his device, I should say.
Agnar, destroyer of worlds. It's Kara. I just got the crew together. We're pulling in, and we all just wanted to sing you a song. Are you ready, ladies? 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy
Turn it
birthday.
down. Oh, up one. There we go. That's the one. That was perfectly done, Luke. Thanks.
Go well, you fluffy beast. Peace out.
Thank you. You're late. What were you doing at midnight?
Priorities. Sorry.
Nah, that's okay. Well done. Congratulations.
Congratulations on reaching 43 and still being alive.
Shut up. Thanks. Sharp was very excited with the result, by the way. Anyway, I'll let you go celebrate.
And you.
Ah, convenient. Now, with your permission, Ben, I'd like to change the age on my character sheet, if I may. Is that a thing?
With you, permission granted.
Well, thanks. Not my character sheet, obviously, Agnar's.
Of course, on his service record. So, yes, we turn our attention back to Kara, the Pelago craft pulling smoothly in, being met by the little tugboat types, which begin the careful process. They don't want to cause any damage or anything, of turning the craft around and reversing it into the dock. At this point, nobody on board needs to do anything. Of course, the engines are off and they're just being pulled in. So Cassie is almost sprinting up and down the narrow center of the craft, slapping everybody on the back and giving high fives to anyone who raises a hand. She's very, very excited. And seems genuinely thrilled. And once she's got over her initial enthusiasm, she charges to the front and says, "We have our team. Everyone here, you made it."
Hey, Cassie.
And then she walks over to Kat and says, "Tomorrow morning, I need you on the sim." And there's a sort of brief pause, and Kat says, "How early tomorrow morning?" And Kathy says, "Not horribly early, just so you get a bit of practice steering the craft as well. You're my pick to spell me for the bits where I have to get some sleep." And Kat looks fairly pleased and says, "Sure. You mean the bits where you want to go really quickly?" And Cassie gives her a good laugh and what have you, and slaps her on the back and says, "This went really well. This went really well. Almost any other year, that time would have won us the race."
Cassie.
And there's that gentle bump as the craft makes it to the dock. The hatch is opened. This time Cassie leaps out first so that she can give everyone a hand up out of the hatch and take the opportunity to thank them and give them a quick pat on the arm as they go. But she's very enthusiastic. She really is. You cannot wipe the smile off her face. Though obviously Kara is welcome to try.
I wondered what you were going to say there, and then you said pat on the arm.
No. Kara's not going to try and tease her or bring it down. This is a moment to savor. She's happy to be part of the happy posse.
Cool. So it's only a moment later where everyone's assembled on the quay, and as you sort of walk back towards the office area at the front of the building, there are a few people standing there with trays with glasses of what looks like a sort of light sparkling wine, and Cassie grabs one of them and nods to everyone else and says, "One glass only," and takes a sip.
Kara grabs 2 glasses and pours the second one into the first one to top it up a bit more before leaving like a third of the glass left, and then raises the glass to toast. 1 glass only.
One glass only. As I say, nothing will knock Cassie off her happiness right now, and everyone picks one up. Kat looks at her glass and frowns at it a little bit, and then downs it in one, putting it back on the tray. But the other 2 seem to sip it a bit more carefully.
What a day. Kara sails up, puts her arm around a couple of the girls, the crew. What a day, huh? We did it though. We made it. Been a long, long day. I'm knackered. Don't know about you, girls.
I could sleep.
24 hours ago, we'd never been in one of these crafts, and tomorrow we're off on the biggest race in the system. Just shows how easy it is, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah. It really was just that easy.
Nothing at all to do with our trained and tame world-class pilot over there. She sort of nods at Kat.
And Kat gives a little grin. It's like, I'm just here to help.
I just hope that Kara lowers her voice a little bit. I just hope that our plans don't ruin your fun tomorrow too much.
Oh, I imagine being fired out of the back of one of these boats at supersonic speeds is going to be quite fun on its own.
I feel bad. I feel a bit bad for Cassie though. They've taken us on their wing. They've been really good for us, you know. They've been really enthusiastic and supportive. I'm starting to feel the guilt that we're shafting them a bit, you know.
We just have to make sure in the race that Cassie's properly rested for the last part of the race, so that when we leave, she can take it all the way home.
And I guess without us in there, it's a bit lighter. And if she's at full steam, that's a very good point. Offer yourself up early, Cap. Offer yourself up big, you know, early on. Get her as much rest as she can get.
Yeah. I mean, I think she'll probably want to do the start. I mean, she may want to do the finish anyway, but if I can take a few hours, like a big chunk of it overnight, then hopefully in the morning she can take over and we can drop off.
Sounds like the best way of doing things, to be honest. The best way. Anyway, speaking of dropping off, this one's gone right to my head. I don't know. Any of you ladies coming back right now to the hotel with me? Kat, you got to be up in about 3 hours, haven't you?
Kat gives a little grin and says, well, she probably wants me back here about 9, I would think. So let's call that 10:30. 10 o'clock. Let's show a bit of willing. So that means I really want to be in bed by about 4. Call it 3:30, allowing for the trip down. Say no later than 3, in reality. I don't get the much opportunity to savor my being idolized by people, and I feel it's something I want to do. So if you want to take the others back to the hotel, I'm going to go outside to hang out with the fans and take pictures with them and have a bit of fun being treated like a goddess.
No, you deserve it. I always forget how much younger and more awake you are than me sometimes. Please enjoy it. Remember our hashtags. You know, we could do the best for our team while we're here. and just have an absolutely fantastic few hours being the queen of the team that you deserve to be.
I just want to enjoy being centre of attention for a bit.
I think it's very reasonable. We've got years ahead of us stuck on a big metal crate, getting poked out by sticks by random people that have never been off planet.
Yeah, that doesn't sound as much fun.
No, enjoy this.
What day
Enjoy
you talk about
this.
Baltic Star that way?
Poked out by sticks is by Agnar and Stefan.
So she breaks away from the other three of you, and initially does a sort of lap of the people inside the hangar, the various crew and office staff and what have you are there, walking over and hugging people and shaking hands with people, and clearly relishing the fact that she is a bit of a star in this team now. And the rest of you can, of course, set off to head back to the hotel if you'd like.
That is Kara's plan. She's gonna be responsible for once. It's gonna, by the time they're back, it's gonna be 1:30 or something, and actually get some sleep. It's gonna be a big day tomorrow. We got a big race. Then at some point we're gonna be shot out the back of a boat. We have no idea what's going on afterwards. So good to get some sleep.
Cool. Okay. So as you slightly more discreetly than Kat make your way out, leaving her in the warehouse, but you're fairly confident that or in the hangar, but you're fairly confident she won't be long behind you, because there's a fairly big crowd of spectators gathered around the hangar, and she's frankly going to want to go and be worshipped by them. So she won't be far behind you coming out of the building, at least. And you head off to the shuttle pad, where the private team shuttle will actually take you straight to the hotel. You don't need to worry about public transport.
And that's the plan. We could jump on that and home, James. to the coronets.
It is just a few minutes flight, and before you know it, you are being dropped off in that little area out the back of the hotel, where the craft can land on the water there and let you off on the little slipway that runs into the hotel. The hotel's bars are heaving with people who are quite excited to see you come back, but they're also quite excited to finish their drinks. So though they are enjoying the fact that they're sharing their hotel with some members of the team, they're sort of raising glasses from a distance rather than interfering with your route to the room.
Kara will feel the need to stop and at least buy one drink and sort of raise one to the crowd if they're looking at her to sort of share a drink. But that's sort of it, sort of a half or something, and knock it back.
Something fairly quick.
Yeah, exactly. And then she'll sort of wave, give them a quick wave, then do the old to complicated rear ends.
It causes a little bit of bafflement because the phrase is not that widely known. But people do sort of raise a glass. They're obviously they're looking at you in team colours. You are in ISB team colours, so they're fully aware who you are, even if the face is not necessarily familiar for all of you. Though Kara's videos have been trending recently, so quite a few will recognise her anyway. And the other members of the team are known a little bit, perhaps, for those who really have been paying attention minute by minute. But of course, none of you were sort of famous Pelago racers before this race, so it's not as if you're old fan favourites or anything like that. So Freya and Sammy are relatively nondescript, but Kara has a bit of a following, and a few people will know her by name and come over to get a picture taken with her. But they're reasonably respectful. This is where the people would go who want to watch the race, but do so from a very expensive hotel bar a few miles away from where the race is actually taking place. This is a relatively upmarket crowd, and they're not going to be pestering her too much.
Carl will happily enjoy a few, a few photos, a few smiles, a few chats, a few. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to share for tomorrow. Can we rely on you to back the team? This is the cool team now, etc., etc. And then sure, if you excuse me, big day tomorrow. I hope you understand. There's a little thing, a race apparently is happening, and I need to be there to massage the backs of our better pilots on the day. If you don't mind. Have a wonderful night, everyone. Thank you very much.
Okay. And you set off up to the hotel room for bed. So we'll cut back to Agnar just in case he wants to do anything else.
No, he doesn't. Ewan was going to say, can you imagine the conspiracy theories, though? Oh, do you remember that amazing Pelagro racer? What was her name? Cara Lassie. Yeah, she got quite famous. She did amazingly well in that run race. And then jettisoned out the back of the ship and went off into deep space exploration. And no one ever heard. We only hear from her every few months now. What happened there?
Hi, Karalaska here. I'm on some tech level 2 planet in a system you've never heard of before. I've been eating plants for the last 3 months.
Yes.
Real potential.
Yeah, this is my Tech 14 communicator, and this is my fishing spear.
Oh.
And I'm here with the best pilot the team's ever had, strangely.
Okay.
Sorry, no, Agnar's got nothing planned.
Agnar's got nothing. Fair enough. Then we turn our gaze towards Stefan. Stefan's still racing over the water, but it's getting to the point now where enough of the planet has gone by that Cags is starting to lift off the water and has made a couple of changes to the controls to change the transponder settings on his craft. No longer a fishing boat, you'll be pleased to know.
It's good to know. I found some old jerky down the back of this seat. You'll be pleased to know. So we do have snacks. Do you want some?
I wouldn't. I don't think that's jerky. I think those are probably the dried entrails of the previous owner.
Mm. Oh, I suppose all the cabin crew. I'll leave it on the seat for you. Do what you want.
Thanks. Yeah. I didn't pay money for this craft, you understand.
I would hope not.
Yeah, that would have been a rip-off, wouldn't it?
I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah. So, had a nice trip to Giikur?
It's
taking some sights.
I've been reflecting on it for some hours now, I suppose. I have seen some lovely sights on Giikur. Not this trip, but I have seen them.
Huh.
Hmm.
Get to the Cascade at all?
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
It's a nice place.
I like. Have you seen the frozen waterfall thing?
Yeah. The first time I came here, I was told I had to go and see that. So I went down there, and well, they wouldn't let me in because apparently I didn't fit their definition of clean. So I went round the back and stole a boat and hung around on the lake so I could see it from the outside. And I mean, I did see it. It wasn't a very good view. I was kind of underneath the three guys I'd stolen the boat from, and they were giving me a kicking at the time. But I did kind of see it happen.
You tell amazing stories. Has anyone ever told you that?
That's very kind of you. I don't think anyone ever has. No.
Stefan's on his device. He, however, did not tell amazing stories. Yeah, that somewhat reminds me of my first trip. Yeah, my first trip. We met a local, and they told us that we had very much had to see the cascade, and we got in there and wheeled around, had some drinks, saw a band, had some fun. The waterfall froze. We chipped some ice off, put it in some drinks, had some more fun. Good times.
Yeah. I didn't get to do the ice chipping thing. A couple of teeth, but no ice. But I did later. It wasn't that night, but it turns out that after I was thrown in the lake, and I swam to shore, I kind of dried out on the beach because the weather's quite nice here most of the time, So the following evening, apparently that was enough to qualify me as clean. So I got in and tried it the following night. I think I picked the wrong night though. It was really busy, and I couldn't actually get to get a good view of the waterfall. There was some kind of concert on, and yeah, it was very, very busy, very noisy, and I have a bit of trouble with my hearing sometimes because, well, I think I've been around noisy things a lot, So I try to avoid those kind of places if I can. But I had to see the waterfall from the other side,
Yeah, of course. I hear just, was it something around 80 decibels? Is for any prolonged period of time, it's not good for you. You've won up on me though. I've never stolen a boat around the Cascade area.
I don't really recommend it.
Well, no, not unless you need a bath.
Well, let me think. My last girlfriend seemed fixated on that. She thought I always needed a bath.
What was her name?
Well, funny you should ask, because I can't remember. Now, I'm pretty sure it began with a P. No,
Promise.
wait a minute. That was her morning routine.
Don't use them all up before tomorrow, Ben. Well, anyway, it sounds as though you're better off without her.
Yeah, probably am. I think she was only after my money, which, to be honest, points to her not being very bright.
Not all the shit.
Yeah. So, do you like the shuttle?
I mean, I quite do. It's practical, does the job. Sometimes it's a fishing boat, sometimes it's not.
Yeah.
Varieties, the spice of life, and all that sort of here. So
Well, right now it's a sort of transport lifter. So, I mean, I don't want to ask any questions that you might consider too personal, but when we get out of atmosphere, what are we actually aiming for?
Well, we're aiming for the station up there. I'm looking. Listen, I'll be frank. I like you. You've got a very distinct personality. I'm looking to get to our ship. You might have heard of her, the Baltic Star.
I don't believe I have, Frank.
Well, you will.
Okay. Whereabouts is she? I mean, in orbit? She's near the station? In the station? Docked at the station?
As far as it stopped at the station, it's getting refitted, unless they've already completed. Maybe?
Okay. All right. So there are a number of ways we can play this. I'm going to go out on a limb here, but I'm going to assume you want to avoid anywhere you might have to show identification on the way in.
That'll be good.
Okay. So, obvious thing then to do is we fly in to where your ship is, and we literally park alongside, and you jump out and climb in, and then I take off.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Never have to go through any actual landing process.
Yep. No checkpoints. I like it.
Now, there are a couple of issues with that from my point of view, but they're nothing you need to worry about. There is a slight danger that they'll realize that we're transferring something, and, well, if they think I'm a smuggler, they might just shoot me out of the sky. But to be honest, it's happened before.
Yeah, I saw the marks on the door on the
Yeah, that was a fun trip.
And the scrapes underneath were told a story.
Yeah, that was a really good landing. I had a guy who once told me that all landings are crashes, but not all crashes are landings. Or was it the other way around?
I think it works both ways, you know. I mean, I'm
Okay.
no pilot, but yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm not a pilot either. I'm not qualified anyway.
That was you laughing, not Sam. Yeah, no, I can tell. But you're clearly very good at what you do. You know, this thing is still flyable after several hits to the outer hull.
Yeah,
It takes some skill, I'd imagine.
I mean, I'm tempted to think it's more like blind luck, but it's possible. Possible skill might be involved. Yeah. I mean, my background, I've sort of had to turn my hand to a lot of things over the years.
What's your background, if I may be so bold as to inquire?
Oh, feel free, Frank. So basically, when I was a kid, I decided I wanted to join the army. And as you can imagine, they said no. So I thought, well, that happens. Maybe the Navy will take me. And the Navy said, you want the Marines. That's what they said. You want the Marines, Cags. You're a guy with no cause to go on living longer than he needs to. The Marines love people like that. And so I went to the Marines instead, and they just kept laughing. So, having been turned away by every uniformed service I could find, I decided to choose a different course of action, and I went into mining asteroids. It was great. It's a good job, you know. You get a lot of time to reflect on the nature of existence when you're alone in deep space, sitting on a rock.
I'm going to be honest, that's not what I thought you were going to say, but good on you.
Anyway, it turned out there was reasonable money in asteroid mining if you were any good at it. And I wasn't. So I went into stealing things instead, which was definitely a turn in the right direction. And then I spent a bit of time, I switched careers. And this time I chose inmate. Because as it turns out, I wasn't all that good at stealing things either. However, there was this prison break, and they needed someone who could fly a stolen ship, and I couldn't, but I told them I could,
Mm.
and so they took me along, which was great. And then we crashed. They got quite angry about that.
You mean you landed?
It's a way of putting it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, crashed onto this world. Lucky, really, because the world was basically in the middle of a kind of civil war. So I picked a side and then betrayed them to the other side. And then they decided to take up my offer for me to serve them in their military. And they gave me some very basic training and a gun. And I don't think I've really put it down since.
Hmm. I'm going to be honest, I've got a lot of questions about that. I mean, there's several similarities. We started off in very similar situations. I didn't try out for the army. I do know someone who used to be in the army, though. If you're still interested, I'm sure they could put in a good word for you.
Probably a bit past it now.
That's fair enough. But I too went to the Naval Academy, and turns out it wasn't for me, and got into stealing things.
Oh,
Didn't choose the career path of inmate though. Where were you? Where were you held? If
Regex 7.
Regex 7. I know a couple of people
Who were there?
back in the day. How old is this person, Ben? In relation to Stefan is all I really need. I don't need exact details.
I'll tell you what. Roll a streetwise with intellect.
No. Streetwise, yay. Intellect, not so much. That is a 9 plus 2 is an 11.
No.
Okay.
They've been in my pocket warming for some time.
With that roll, I can tell you almost exactly. He is probably about 27. But he's got slightly wild facial hair. He's a bit scruffy looking. He's a bit chunky across the shoulders and a bit wider in the waist than he should be. If he told you he was 40, a lot of people would have believed him.
Okay, yeah, sure. Yeah, you know, I can tell from looking at you, you're a lot younger than I am and the people I used to run with back in the day. So, you know, a little while ago.
Yeah. I don't really miss Regex 7, you know.
I can imagine.
Yeah. Yeah, the service was awful.
But did you play much tennis?
Not a lot of tennis. No, truthfully, I mean, I haven't really been places where tennis is a big thing for the most part. Most of my life, I've been doing the breathing, eating, drinking thing, and anything else is a bonus.
Oh, that's yeah. Sorry, I get you.
Yeah. Still, I've got a career now, own my own business.
Doing very well, I can see. Looks around.
Yeah. I mean, I've got a few employees. I mean, they're not here at the moment. You understand? I've got them off.
No, you shot them. Oh, right. Yeah, other ones.
Yeah. In Osset, they've just had a what you might call a emergency involuntary change of government there, and the new leadership has been having some disputes with some people who were loyal to the former leadership, and well, me and my employees are in dispute resolution.
Ah, interesting. Very interesting. Well, I'm glad. It sounds like you've got your fingers in many pies. I'm glad. Glad the business is going so well. Tell me, how do you know Sever?
Well, that's a bit of a story. You see,
Not Regex 7.
no, I think he's he's a bit too soft for a place like that. They
Interesting to know.
when because he's kind-hearted and trusting, and he's just I don't think he'd do well somewhere like that.
Yeah, they'd eat him alive, wouldn't they? Really?
No, I bumped into him on Osin, actually. He used to live there.
Ah.
I was on my way back, traveling. Well, I didn't really have a fixed plan because I was kind of climbing into cargo containers, and wherever they went, I went. And I ended up on Osin, which is a terrible place to end up if you enjoy breathing and don't have any money, because it's all, sealed things on the surface. And I got into a little bit of a fight with one of the locals, and I decided it would be better to leave, but I didn't have any way of doing that. And Sever, well, I bumped into him a couple of times, and he told me he could get me a job up in orbit, processing junk. So I did that for a while. It was good, actually. I got to basically break down old spaceships and turn them into their various valuable components, and then I would steal those and put all of the rest through the processing. And then they caught me at that, so I jumped ship and went.
You jumped the ships that you were dismantling.
Yeah, it turns out some of them were still basically functional.
Ah.
So I hid in one and started working on it to get it up and running, and then called a few people I'd met, decided to start our own space transport company.
Like space transport company.
Yeah, and we made it all the way to Giikur.
Well, I'm very glad you did. By the way, Ben, all of this time, Stefan's been making little notes on his device. Anything interesting he thinks he can pass off as his own story, he's totally going to do it. Yes, well, I'm very glad you did. It's worked out quite well for me, it must be said.
Oh, well, good.
Especially at the same time as Seven.
Yeah. So I'm just curious, what did you steal? This time, I mean. That means you had to leave the surface in a hurry.
Oh, well, that's somewhat of a long and complicated and incriminating story, if I'm honest. I tell you what, though. No, you wouldn't have heard of it. My first ever big time steal was Ben. I don't think we've ever fleshed out the details of this story, as far as I'm aware, as names.
No, we only know the vaguest terms. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you want to throw any names in there, now would be the time. But he'll basically say to do you know the naval base that Stefan and Soraya went to, and the theft of the big ship there? Did you ever hear about that?
Sorry, never heard of it. Sounds fun though. They don't normally let me on military bases or civilized planets.
Yeah. Fun.
Yeah, well, the good news is if you've got your own ship, I mean, I'm not really allowed on Giikur exactly, but they don't have to know, you know?
Yeah, I'm sure they don't. I'm sure they don't. Yeah. I mean, we have our own ship. It's a different ship now, obviously. Baltic Star. It's gonna
Yeah,
do
you
big
said.
things.
Nice ship?
Pretty good. We've got two toasted sandwich makers now. Had none before. So, you know, we're already doing big things.
That's all of the luxuries.
Yeah.
So what kind of ship is it?
Subsidy where it used to be a subsidized liner.
Very nice. And you actually own this ship?
Well, co-manage with a dear friend of mine.
Oh. That's a good job. Nice work if you can get it. I promise not to steal it.
Yeah, thanks. If you stole a ship as big as that, no one would ever hear of it again. Apparently.
Yeah, good point. Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, I've spent most of my life trying to not be famous for anything. And so far, I've largely accomplished it. Yeah. And as he's talking, you can see you're out of atmosphere, and he's actually brought you up quite close to where the orbital station is. And he says, right, pipe down. And he opens up a communication channel, and he calls out to the station. And he says, yeah, this is Shuttle 115. We've got a problem with our transponder and communications array. I don't know if you're getting this. I want to come in and get it checked out on the shipyard, if that's okay. And there's a brief pause and then a response saying, okay, aim for Dock 10. We'll have someone waiting for you. Says, great, thank you very much. He closes the channel and turns to you and says, you're not anywhere near Dock 10, are you?
I have no idea where we're docked, to be fair. Can you not just like send out a little ping and find out where the ship identifying as the Baltic Star is? Is that not how these things are? I'm curious. So I'm not
If they've got their transponder turned on, or if you know someone who can tell you.
Yeah, they'll have the transponder turned on. We're no criminals. Give it a go. I'll try my end, and he'll take out his device and start
All right.
typing a message.
Before you've even completed sending the message, he says, bloody hell, you're right. The transponder's on. Don't think I've ever dealt with anybody who leaves their transponder turned on. You're really not criminals.
Well, most of us.
Ish.
That's amazing. I don't know what to do. I've never met anyone like you. Anyway, yeah, you're in Dock 29.
Good to know. Good to know. Thanks. So I assume, I don't know, that might be their Dock 10.
As he sails past, he says, quiet now. He opens up the communication channel again. He says, control, we've got a few control issues as well. Looks like I've overshot Dock 10 a bit. I'll try and swing around and see if I can't duck in somewhere near 40. That looks like a nice, easy approach. If you could send the welcoming committee over to 40, that would be good. And then he closes off the channel before actually even waiting for a response. Then he says, right, hang on a minute. Take him about 3 minutes to get to 40, but from there it'll take him more like 6 to get to 29. Okay, plenty of time. And he swings around and slides the thing in, and you see through his viewport, right at the front, the very familiar shape of the Baltic Star
Oh.
as he pulls right alongside. And his docking is not great. He doesn't so much dock with as collide with the Baltic Star.
Oh, no.
It's okay, it's a ton ship, right, Ben?
And there's this horrible sort of grinding sound of metal on metal as he slides along it and pulls away. There's an alarm inside the shuttle as it starts to leak atmosphere. There's I'd put a helmet on right about now.
Which Stefan does. Silence. He's somewhat mixed. He's clearly brightened up a bit since the guy had never heard of his grand theft after seeing the Baltic Star, but still a bit annoyed.
He says, "Right, I think we're going to have to get out and walk." And he opens the hatch, undoes it, and pushes against it. It sticks for a moment, and he swears violently at it, and then kicks it a few times, and it flies open. And out there, you can see deep space. The Baltic Star just outside. And he says, "Just watch the first step. It's a long way down." And hurls himself across the gap to literally land plastered like a bug on a windscreen on the side of the Baltic Star.
Stefan will just think to himself, down, up, left, right, who knows? He'll look both ways. Jump. He'll do the same.
Okay. Can you roll Dex plus Athletics Dex for me, please?
Yes, I can. Yeah, I say I can. That's a 7 on the dice. Luckily, I have a +4.
Oh.
Okay. All right. You land actually fairly smartly and close to the place where the Baltic Star is actually docked against the side of the space station, connected to it with its various hatch points and attachment points. So you can fairly easily push off and land right next to an airlock leading into the station right by where the Baltic Star is hooked in. And you can hear a fairly solid running commentary of Cag swearing as he clambers over the outside of the Baltic Star to get to a similar position before he will try and jump off and make it to that airlock as well. And as soon as he's got a decent line of sight to it, he throws himself across the gap and almost makes it. He once again lands with a bit of a splat, quite close to the airlock, but not actually next to it. So he's grabbing hold of handles and anything he can find on the outside of the space station to haul his way along towards the airlock.
Cags, I think I've made it. I should be okay from here. I don't need any. This ship's right there.
Yeah, that's great for you, but mine's broken.
Okay, I suppose. Don't draw too much attention. I'm sure you know what you do.
I can be really subtle as he clangs one foot over the other towards the airlock. He reaches the controls and punches it. The door slides open and he throws himself inside and looks rather wistfully as his little shuttle spins, slightly battered and broken and scratched on the outside, untethered in the middle of the space station open area. Like, oh well, easy come, easy go. You joining me?
Inside.
Well, you can stay out here if you like.
No. You know, I get propositions all the time. I was just a bit curious. Sure,
Okay.
yeah, I'm coming in.
Make another Dex plus Dex, please.
Oh, I go for the ones warmed in my pocket.
Athletics Dex plus Dex, you know.
Yeah. That's a 6, but +4 is a 10.
That's very comfortable. It's a short distance. You throw yourself across, and with much more precision than he managed, sort of not only enter through the airlock, but do so feet first, coming to a gentle stop at the far end. And as soon as you're inside, he presses the button to close the outer door and begin cycling it. The inner door opens, and you're looking into the service corridor inside the space station, which, at least for the moment, appears to be unoccupied. And that's where we'll call it for tonight.
Oh, Ben, I was so close to the Baltic Star. I can smell it. Not through the helmet, honestly.
So let's hope not. There'll be some problems if that's the case. You big tease. It's the closest that either of us have been to the Baltic Star in a couple of years.
Well, it's just the way it is, I'm afraid. You can wait another week.
Yeah. Well, we're back next week, so that's good.
Yeah. So before we go, Luke, you need to tell us about what's happening tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm playing cricket all day tomorrow, and then in the evening we'll all join up, and we will play the first of a new game that Ewan and I have discussed at length and created, which is based on the TV series Hello. It's called Listen Very Carefully, and we're going to start tomorrow night. We're going to do some character jam. We'll do a little bit of stuff in the time we've got, with the idea we can launch into it more in the future. And it is double entendre, a little bit silly, set in France in World War II with the French resistance, not the communist resistance, de Gaulle's resistance, the one with a big hooter.
The Resistance.
Yeah, and they're trying to befuddle and confuse and go against the Germans that have taken over Nouvion as well as the rest of France. So that's tomorrow evening.
I think that is going to be enormous fun. I'm very much looking forward to that. So until then, thank you very much, guys. It's been joyous tonight.
It's been a pleasure.
Excellent work.
Much fun.
Very excited with the Baltic Star being so close. So close.
And yes,
he's put a big dent in it. I'm very upset about that. Apart from that,
it's all right. The toasted sandwich makers are fine.
Let's hope so.
You'd imagine. Hopefully, they're on the inside of the ship.
Oh, very much so. Yes. And though the Baltic Star is not exactly a giant ship, she's considerably larger and sturdier than that bent-up little shuttle.
That's true.
I very much got that impression.
Right. Good night, everyone. Good night.
Thank you very much.
Sleep well. A pleasure as always.
Good night, guys. Good night, everyone.
Bye.